Okay, so welcome to the sad mama's den.
We went from Destiny's Child to Destiny's Twins today.
Yes.
It's Melanie and Codie here in the building for you today. But that's fine because, you know, we got enough to talk about with these kids.
Yes. Ashley's out working out of town and Felicia's sick.
Under the weather because life be lifing.
Yeah. So here we are. You get us. So, you know, we just had spring break in this life.
Yeah.
In this thing called life.
Did your kids have 2 weeks of spring break
Brooks
or one?
had 2 weeks and 3 days.
What?
Not including weekends. He likes to call all the days out, but he had Thursday, Friday, then 2 weeks, then Easter Monday. Then he went back to school.
Listen, I'm going to say this. 2 weeks, one, I like it, but I don't like it. Because 2 weeks is a lot to have these kids in the house. But 2 weeks also is like, it's actually a real break, which I do think that kids need.
I mean, sure. Okay.
I think kids do need a 2 week break. I do. However, I say that from the luxury of being like, I also didn't have a very 2 busy weeks at that time. Cameron only had a week. No, he had technically 6 days because it was Monday to Friday and then the Friday leading into the spring break and then the weekend or whatever. That to me was not long enough. I actually would have loved a few more days.
I'm told the reason our school does 2 weeks, I mean, this could just be like hearsay, was because people complained and they were like, we want to travel, we want to do all this stuff, we want it to be longer. It's not enough time
for travel, that's the truth.
So that's what happened. And so I get that I think that the pro is when you plan ahead. When you don't, then when 2 weeks
it's like go back to school.
Traumatic, like it's problematic.
Y'all need to go back. I need time again.
And so like a week before, I guess, because part of the reason I didn't plan anything is I was like, maybe we will go somewhere.
Right.
Yay, right? Just waiting for like things to settle and then forgetting and all of that. So then I look up like a week out and I'm like, shit, like what are we going to do? I started asking a few people. And then what I ultimately did, I was looking for camps and we were going to do like a coding camp, but I didn't really want to do that because he's done it before. Like that's school.
Yeah.
So I found a soccer camp.
Cool.
And Tommy's like, do you want to give him an option? I was like, no, I don't. So Tommy wanted me to give him the option. I was like, nah, because he might actually choose like coding, which is fine in life, but he needs to run around. He does not do a physical activity. I mean, they have recess or whatever, but he has no commitment to sports. So we did a week of soccer camp, and actually the babies who are in a Montessori school, which is year round, have a non-academic week. So I put everybody in soccer camp.
Amazing.
And I actually, so again, just 1 week. We won't even talk about the other week with Brooks. We just did whatever. He was at the office, but
he really was at the office.
He really was, like for real. Half days at the office, half days picking up his brothers from school. But we did soccer camp, and I'm so happy that we did it because he loved it and he wants to do it.
Yes.
Like he wants to continue. I know it means it's amazing. And the babies enjoyed it, but not quite as much.
They're younger.
Yes, child. So fast forward to, he loves soccer. So I'm like, great, I want to nurture that.
Yes.
I want him to continue. And he already is in karate.
Amazing.
And I know, yes, until basically now we're at this point of life. Yes.
Pause this for a second. Then babies need a martial art.
They do.
They need a martial art.
And karate might be an option.
Totally.
They were all introduced to it at the same time. And they said they wanted to do it. Langston didn't even participate in the trial. Aristotle did and was like, I love this. Give me a uniform. Pay the extra money.
I am into this. This is it. This is the solution.
Down.
We found it.
Okay. I think we'll give them another shot.
100%. You want to know why? Let somebody else get in that ass. It'll teach him for you.
Fair.
It will.
That's fair. No, you're totally right. That's why I put him in school. That's literally why I was like, they need to answer to other people.
That part.
And it's helped. It has helped. I would say that for sure. So Brooks is in karate. I'm working on soccer, working on it because like it's hard to have a lot during the weekend because then we can't like plan life. So I found a Friday night soccer, which starts this week. And my babies, all of the children, they don't know how to swim, which is like very stressful for me. And because I thought I was going to teach my kids to swim when they were like 2 and then the pandemic happened and no one knew how to swim. And so we started swimming also very abruptly. And so now once soccer begins, it will be soccer Friday night, swimming 8 a.m. Saturday morning, and then karate at noon on Saturday. Like it is a time. In addition to the fact that like now we're about to hit summer and I need to start planning that. And it's just, I'm just getting the hang of this soccer, karate, swimming. And when I say the hang, I mean one time.
Listen, Cam plays in a basketball league and the coach's wife, they got 3 kids and they are all in sports. Every single one of them. And I literally was just like, how do you do this? Because I have.
Are they in different sports?
They're all in different
my
activities.
gosh.
It's 2 boys and a girl. They're in completely different sports. They each play multiple sports.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you all do this? And she was just like, my mom. That's what she said.
Yeah.
She said, I could never do this without my mom because somebody has to watch these kids, take these kids, do that. We're outnumbered.
Yeah.
And I think about this with people with multiple children, which is why, 1, I'm glad my kids are 6 years apart. 2,
Yeah.
I cannot have any more children because I don't know how I'd manage them. I just don't get it. So when I think about people with multiple children, it is a real thing. And your life
Girl.
becomes
Yes. I knew that would happen one
extracurricular
day.
activities. It's here.
It
Welcome.
just happened.
Yep. It's here. You've hit it. You're here. And summertime ain't no joke at
Yeah.
all. Like at all. Like I'm already thinking, I remember Felicia, because remember, I didn't know nothing about no camps. I wasn't thinking about nothing. It was the last week of school last year, and all Cam's friends at school, parents were like, so what camps are you doing? I was like, camps.
Same, 100%.
They registered from like the beginning of the year.
They did that shit in December.
Yes. So
Yes. So you
to your
signed up?
point, you're in it. So now you have to really think about how you're going to be able to manage it.
I know.
And you're going to have to be able to say, I'm unavailable from these days and these days because this is when I have to take my children to do this. Or I have somebody designated to take my children to these things.
Yeah.
Whether it's the nanny or a
So wait,
relative.
is your
or
summer like set up?
No. So Cameron we found a science camp that Cameron did last year and he really liked it. But I'm not going to lie. This shit was very expensive and it was kind of janky. It's not even about the cost. It's like, what am I getting for the cost?
Yeah.
But also at the same
That's
time,
how
it's
we
like
felt
he was
about the
gone from 9
coding.
to 3 every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, bet.
So when he came home, like, what was janky? He just didn't have.
It's just like, these are the materials that y'all are using. I paid how much for what? I was like, So now I'm looking into maybe doing that for a week because he did enjoy it. But then also, what's also going on in the Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Is there a coding? Is there a swimming? You going to do something every single, is it a tennis camp? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And also talking to my other friends that have kids that are doing things and be like, what are y'all doing? Because let's pair them up. You know, Cameron's at the age where if he's with a friend of mine that I trust and their kids, I'll be like, you could go with them for the day. Go ahead. I'm not sending them on a bus with no strangers or like carpooling with parents I don't know.
Nope.
But you know, if it's someone that we know and trust, I would love for him to go and be in school all day. I'm not even going to lie, or a camp all day. Go to somewhere.
Yeah.
You cannot be in this house. You need to get out and do things and navigate your way through personalities and learn new skills and feel challenged and celebrate yourself and have a great day and a not so great day and come home and process that shit. Cause that's really what it is. And you don't know until you try, right? We put Cameron in a YMCA camp before he started school because it was off the pandemic. And I didn't want his first experience in school off of being homeschooled to be school. Girl, he's still be like, that place I hate, the YMCA camp. I mean, I don't know what happened while he was there, but it obviously wasn't good. And he has been left with a memory of scarring there.
Never again.
Never again. I can't even mention going to the YMCA. I don't want to go to the YMCA, but we're just going to go swim. Oh, okay. Like traumatized. But I will say it was a good experience for him.
Yeah.
He needed to go and do that. And honestly, you have 3 kids.
Girl.
Them kids got to go somewhere.
They do. No, 100%. And so, but that's the thing. I have to like sit down and map it out. And I think I have the like, all right, I know some of the things I want them to do, but I don't want to miss something fun that I don't know about. So the research part of it, the scheduling part of it, the not just scheduling them, but then it's like, oh, wait,
Family
what if we
time.
decide to travel that week? But I don't know yet. So I guess I pay for this camp that we may not go to. All of that navigation. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I think about that too with us. We, you know, in the summertime, I get busy working. So I travel a lot for work in the summer. You know, my nieces in Toronto are off. It just feels like the right time to travel. Yeah. But in our lives, we don't get to plan like that.
No, at all.
We don't work typical jobs in that way. Like a project could come up. You could be like, oh, I got to be here. Or, you know, it's not based around our kids' summer vacation.
Yeah.
So I think that forces us to have to also plan for ourselves to say, okay, if there is a trip that we want to take as a family, what is the week that we want to do it? Tommy, boys, Jared, kids, Fee, Ashley, Chia, everybody, you know, what is it that we want to do to make sure that we've carved this time out so that we can then supplement in the other weeks. Like, it's like, okay,
totally.
you could be home this week, but next week you got to go to soccer camp.
You're right.
Next week you got to go to swim camp.
Plan the off weeks.
Then
everything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it flies by really fast.
It does.
And then, you know, there's cancellation policies.
Mm-hmm.
There's fees that go into that. There's Tommy walking into
There's
the building.
I just saw the time. As soon as I heard him, I saw the time. Hi, Tommy. Wait, I have a question. So what is Jared's, like, if you plan all this stuff and you go out of town, you have a gig at the last minute, is he going to jump in and like take them, or do you then have to navigate like?
No, he's going to jump in and take them.
Over.
Or he's going to plan for someone to take them if he can't. You know, and we actually got into this like a little while ago, because when Cam started playing this basketball league, Jared's really into basketball and he loves that Cameron's in basketball, and this place is really great. And so there was a practice before games on Friday, and that was the only thing. But then the coaches emailed us and like, hey, if you're a member of this organization, you now have access to conditioning and skills training once a week, 2 days a week. So Jared responds and is like, yep, we're going to do it Monday, Wednesday, and I was like, and Friday, okay. But in my mind, I'm like, Jared, I can't even get you to tell me if you're coming home for dinner tonight. So like, how are you going to do this? And there was a couple days where he was late or did not make it in time. Then it fell on me, and I was like, hey, bro, this was your thing. You set this up.
Yeah.
So you got to follow through or communicate with me. Or communicate with me that I gotta pick it up.
This lady who decided she wanted our kids to go swimming at 8 a.m.
Yes, I did. I'm laughing because I do it though. That's the thing. I do it. If there's a problem, I'm going to get somebody to do it, and it's not going to be him if he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? Like, or if he can't for some reason.
Yeah, but then I still got to deal with the exhausted wife after, because
it was one day, the first swim day. Yeah, I was done for, because we also planned a movie night, like at home. All the kids watched movies till late. We'll talk about why. Let's talk about why that was late. Anyway, till late. So then swimming at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it seems like a bad idea.
Was tragic.
Yeah,
but it was our first one, so we had to go.
Yep.
Now, let's just talk about movie night real quick. Right. Movie night that I planned for 6:30. At 6 o'clock, Tommy's like, I'm going to cook for everyone. Right? I'm like, I was ordering pizza. What do you mean?
It's not 6 o'clock.
I was ordering pizza. And this man cooked, so we didn't finish eating till 7:30. We didn't turn on the movie till 8.
No, the food was ready. You didn't say, okay, let's eat.
But let's talk about this. It's going to happen. Like, you're not going to get it right.
No, you're totally right. And I went to swimming and I ate it.
You made it and you ate it.
And how was the food?
The food?
And you ate the food too.
Yes, I had lasagna. I went to he ain't staying. You know he ain't staying. I mean, I haven't even said anything about you except that you decided to cook late. Well, not just cook late. You decided to cook and it was like involved. I was going to give them pizza on the couch and he made lasagna.
It's also delicious.
It was delicious.
That's what the problem is.
The thing is, you have to ask yourself when it comes to these things, is like, what is actually manageable for you? Because, you know, if it's 8 a.m., it's like, I know, for example, my kids sometimes can sleep in. I'm going to take that. So you have to know that. Like, if you're a family that's up at 5, 6 o'clock every day, then an 8 a.m., like an 8 a.m. swim class might be good because you're already up. Your day's already started. All right, let's go get busy. Yeah. Let's get an activity. My kids, sometimes they sleep in. And when they sleep in, I'm damn for sure sleeping in.
I'm here for it.
So I'm just like, all right, y'all want to sleep until 8 today? Which means we're not doing any activities till at least 10.
But see,
11.
That's why it was funny, because we don't usually stay up late and watch movies. So it was like the first day of swim and they're groggy at 7:50. They're up.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah, we did that though. We did it. We got it done.
You got it done.
The swim instructor was impressed with them.
Also, too, in regards to summer and activities, because how old is Brooks?
6.
And the boys are?
4.
Right. So there's probably some sort of camp or Rex or park that caters to 4 to 7, 8-year-old. Like, you know what I mean? So you can drop them all off somewhere.
That's the plan.
And bye. We'll pick you all up at the same time. At the end, y'all do your respective camp there. You do your respective camp there, and we go. So that's also one thing I think that's important too when you have kids that are closer in age.
That's the plan for sure.
I love this plan for you guys. Okay.
I have a question, and you can use it or not use it. But the twins in particular, when they do something wrong, when they're upset about anything, but when they do something wrong, they want a hug to feel better, right? Like they need a hug to like.
That's manipulation, girl.
I think I used to think that, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, as much as like, I have done both. I have done like, no, you da 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 da. And it's like the crying is uncontrollable. And it's like, there's just no end. Now, Sharice and I have talked about this too.
So wait a second. Is this when they're just like upset over like, I fell?
Everything.
Or like.
Everything. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
This morning, I'm upstairs. I ask them usually like, give me some time to put on my shoes. And that's like when I like go upstairs and drink my coffee, right? So I hear water downstairs and I'm thinking that someone's like washing their hands or whatever. I finally go downstairs and the water in this bathroom has just been left on. The sink is just, and they close the drain. So the water is overflowing over the sink, right? And I'm like, Aristotle and Langston, because I don't know who did it, right? And Langston comes running and he goes, Aristotle did that. right away. He looks at it like matter of fact, Aristotle did that. Immediately, I haven't said anything except Aristotle and Langston. Immediately, Aristotle starts crying.
Yeah,
like
as he should.
He just starts crying, standing still, crying. And I'm like, Aristotle, why did you do this? And he's just like crying. He's not even answering me. I'm like, fine. So we do that for a little while. And I'm like, I need you to get me towels from, da-da-da spot, da-da-da. Langston runs upstairs. Aristotle's slowly going upstairs. He's still crying. He's crying a little less, but he's like sulking. Langston brings me a towel. Like Langston has gone and got a towel and came back down before Aristotle even made it up the stairs.
Yeah.
He finally comes back downstairs and he's just crying. And he's like, I need a hug. And that's what they do. They will get in trouble about something and they will cry and eventually will just be like, I need a hug to calm down. Okay. Hugs make me calm down.
Yeah.
And trust me, I know how it sounds. And in the beginning, I definitely would like fight it. And then like I talked to Sharice and we were talking about like sometimes that helps them like regulate themselves.
Yeah.
So like it's okay and still be firm about whatever they did wrong. But like.
That seems normal to me. Like, yeah, you would want to hug. You're upset. But that doesn't mean that you still got to pump your brakes on, hey, this is not cool. You need to know that this is not cool.
I say all that. I say all that.
Happy about this.
I say all that. It just feels.
Is he upset? Do you think that he's upset because he got dimed out?
Nah.
And he got caught?
Or
is he upset that like, oh shit, I actually did something
didn't mean to do that. Yeah. I don't know. He doesn't, they don't.
Like, do they
I
have
try
remorse?
to get them to articulate it. He definitely felt bad. He did not mean to do both plug it and turn it on and leave it.
Okay, but my question for you is because we've heard many of these stories. At what point do you believe that it's an accident versus I just be mischievous because I be doing stuff and I just be testing
because
stuff?
I know when Aristotle's mischievous.
Okay.
Because the other thing that they do, especially Aristotle, is he'll say, don't look at me, Mom. And then of course I know he's about to do something that he's not supposed to be doing.
Right.
And he's usually like crouching down and eating something that he's stolen from somewhere.
Right.
So like when he's mischievous, he gets caught. And he either gets caught that clearly by saying like, don't look at me. Or he'll go, literally, I didn't eat anything. And we're like, oh, what did you eat? I didn't eat anything. What did you eat? Right? Like he'll do all of that.
I don't think, okay, so back to the hug thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with the hug. I think that that's normal. I think that like, as a parent, if you don't have a place where you come back to where you're like, hey, it's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's really all okay, isn't it? Like,
yes,
drawing the walls, it's actually okay.
Totally.
Even though.
Been there.
Yeah, of course. We've all been there, right?
And Airbnb.
But like, oh yes, I remember that. You said just the brown marker.
Yep.
But, like, it's interesting to think about where does the communication come from, where they have the wherewithal to stop themselves before they do something that gets them to a place where they get so, because they be getting into stuff.
They be.
Like, and of course, every kid is different. I'm not there with Kaya yet because I don't know what she's capable of just yet. I know she will destroy plants.
Yeah.
I know that she will like.
They used to do that too.
Yeah. I know she doesn't really do anything else. Like she's not very destructive in that way where, I mean, you've told us stories about the sink. The sink.
I should have taken a video this morning of the overflow.
You should have.
Dang.
We should have a collection.
I know.
And we should roll the tape.
They're not as destructive as they used to be, but I really should have taken a video of that.
But my thing is like, okay, so for example, I have a friend who has a child who is allowed to be very, very free. There's no, hey, don't touch that. Hey, there's no, that's not yours.
What you mean there's none of that?
There's none of that.
She doesn't even feel it? Is she holding back or is she like, whatever?
No, she's just very relaxed about it.
Got it.
It's interesting to see that, like, at a certain point, it's easy to like step back and be like, oh my gosh, but the child really has no idea.
Yeah.
The child does not know danger. The child does not know.
That's what danger sounds like.
Right. Right on cue. The child doesn't have like a true sense of like when we would sit, hey, if you climb up there, you could fall down and break your leg. It's more honored from an exploring space. So, and I understand it because I see how confident this child is, but the child really doesn't have any awareness of how their actions affect other people.
Yeah.
So my question is, do you feel like the kids don't have that? Like, do they not have the awareness of how their actions affect other people? Like, it's going to cause you to have to clean up. It could be dangerous. Someone could fall. Someone could get cut by glass.
They're aware. I think they're aware.
They're aware.
I really couldn't tell you why they don't listen. It's a mixture of literally, like, I would say tuning me out, right? Like literally just we're enjoying ourselves and we don't even, I hear some mumbling in the background, right? It's a mixture of that. And then other times, literally, I'm going to do what I want to do. But I know they know better. I do. I am confident that they are aware of how their actions affect other people.
So if they have that compass, where for you do you draw the line? You're just like, yo, this is just absolutely disrespectful that y'all don't listen to me.
I'm going to try to, I don't know if I can think of any examples. I will say, and this is actually helping me because I actually feel like I'm doing better than I think. But I definitely do draw the line. The other challenge is that they don't discipline well, meaning like Brooks, you could just say, yo, go to your room, or I'm taking this. With the babies, I can take things away, typically food related, right? In the morning, the only thing I have is like, you're not getting a snack in your lunch today, right? I've tried to like withhold breakfast. I may have even done it one time. That was like some crazy, he wasn't going to eat it anyway. He was already crying and screaming. But I am not that gangsta, like to withhold breakfast, but I can say, look, you see these snacks that we are putting in your lunch? I'm taking this one away. And then they will course correct and still ask for it 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Sometimes I give it to them. Sometimes I don't. You know what? I don't need the shaking of the head. But yes,
but I think
I do draw a line.
I think to the point that you just said, I think you know exactly where it is. You're like, sometimes I give it to them and you try to escape past it.
Yes.
But the truth is that like you have to hold the line. And that again, listening to that episode with my mom, holding the line is so important, I think, for children who will push and test. It's like, you gotta know that if they go here, I gotta be one step ahead to know like what that thing is that I'm gonna say, all right, this is where I draw the line. Like this, and there's no going, like they don't know how to overcome that. Yeah. Because some kids do. Some kids will be like, all right, well, I know where they were gonna go with it because they've been testing all this time. Yeah. So sometimes you do have to be like super extreme. I remember and we talked about this too, I don't believe in spanking. Cameron is a child who I've literally spanked once in his whole life. On his butt. I sure did. And I never had to again. Yeah. But I knew it was a moment for me where I remember he was 2 years old. It was nap time. I was in his room. I'm saying, Cam, it's time for nap. He walked outside. He went into the living room. I stayed in the room. I said, Cameron, it's nap time. And he just was like, no. And I was like, Cameron, it's nap time. And at this point, I had been counting. I'd been doing the counting. I'm counting 1, 2. I got to 5 and homeboy still wasn't back in the room. And I kept going and I'm like, oh shit, I'm at 6. Oh my God, I'm at 7. And in my mind, I'm playing out, if you get to 10, what are you willing to do?
100%.
And I had to start having this conversation with myself. And I knew it. I was like, I cannot not have a different reaction than he's seen before. I can't just go out there and be like, I got to 10. No, I had to get out there, pick him up, and I spanked him on the butt. And he looked at me like, oh! And I picked him up and I was like, do not ever let me get to 10. I was like, it's nap time. And I put him in his bed and I left. And he was crying himself to sleep. And I walked out and my heart was broken. My
goodness.
I have never had to get to 3 with Cameron since that day. Never.
So straight up, no regrets.
No regrets. Literally. I don't think that it would be something that I would continue to do. Yeah. Because obviously it didn't work. Yeah. But it was the wake-up call that he needed in that moment. It was the thing I was willing to try in that moment. Again, I don't believe I don't believe necessarily in hitting children. I do believe in getting physical with children sometimes, though. I do believe in snatching your kid up in a way when their
you gotta
body
scare them a little.
Yeah, they have to feel a presence of, hey, like even if it's to save their lives, like when they're running out in the street, I gotta snatch you up. And that feeling of being snatched up sets off an alarm, and you like, oh, I wasn't aware of something.
Yeah,
So even if that, I think there is something that parents do, whether it's you get in their face. Something I do, I get in Cameron's face. I get on his eye level. I look at him directly in the eyes very sternly. And I say to him whatever it is I'm trying to do. And I have to practice that already right now with Kaya. Like this morning, homegirl didn't want to eat. And I was like, okay. But I know she's hungry all the time. So I said to her, I was like, you have more to eat. You're not eating. And I was like, are you all done? She says, all done. I said, okay. I said, if I take you out of this chair and you get hungry, you chose to not eat. And I took her out and put her down on the ground. And that's it.
Yeah.
But I talked to her like she screams. She screams to communicate. And I look at her and I say, do not scream at me. You will not like it if I scream at you. Trust me, we are going to get to a place you will not like to be screamed at. I do not want to be screamed at. And I talk to her just like this right now. I'm not doing that soft thing with her. She's not that kid.
Yeah.
She needs direct, firm conversation. And she responds to it. Even though she's only, not even a year and a half, she responds to the, all right, I see you, like sis, eye to eye. Okay, word, fine. Even if she doesn't like it. So I feel too, for you, your tone is also so sweet that those kids need to see something, again to mom, they need to see something different. They need to see a different side of you where you're just like, hey, you know what? And maybe the sink is not a good example, but like if they do something completely defiant and then they get upset and they want that hug, you just be like, you know what? Mommy's upset right now. I need a minute.
Yes. No, the thing is this. You're 100% right. It's all right there in my head, right? And even everything I know about your mom and like her firm lines are not a guide for me, but they're right there. And I'm like, okay, whatever I do, I have to stick to it. And with them, it is still an exploration of what works and what doesn't.
Yes, it always is.
Most things don't. But I mean, but that's why I say it. Because
most things don't.
Because there's nothing that I'm like, this is foolproof. If I take this or if I do that, then they're gonna change their behavior. Usually, like I said, the snack thing does work, but it's still hit or miss. And I also think that they fuel each other.
That is something that I absolutely believe to be true. Yeah.
They fuel each other and or I'm reprimanding one and the other one's like doing something silly and it's like, stop. Like, you're making me laugh or whatever. Like, it's just like all of this is happening at the same time. They're never far apart from each other.
Do you ever see them regulate each other without your intervention? Like if one is doing something, like one is like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yes.
That's good.
It is good. Overall, they're very sweet. They just don't listen. You know what I mean? Like that's where it's always going to be hit or miss when I'm like, you need to stop doing this because XYZ. Right. Or because I said so. I've tried it all. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a because I said so parent. But sometimes I'm like, you need to stop because I asked you to.
Yeah. Because it's just what it is. Because I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
Is there a time or a lesson that they've had to learn that's been very hard for them that you felt like woke them up? Like, for example, I told y'all to stop jumping on the bed. You fell off and busted your head. Like, and maybe it's not that. Like, maybe it's something else. Like, what is the hardest lesson they've had to learn where you feel like it was, oh, I need to listen? Is there any moment like that?
I don't know, girl. I don't know. I mean, they have, okay. So there's one time in particular that I can think of, but it's usually the three of them doing something just like that. I've already told them, like, stop doing whatever you're doing.
Right.
And then the three of them, somebody gets hurt. And then two of them feel really bad.
Right.
And the other one's coming to me for a hug.
Right.
And so those are the times where it does click and they don't do anything else. Like they're good after that.
Yeah.
But that ain't necessarily listening to me.
Physical
right
injury.
Yeah. Physical injury will do it.
We might have to give you some licks.
I'm joking. Honestly, that's why I ask
You were so,
because, and even when I was like, no regrets, right?
Right.
Like, I feel like if I was comfortable with whoopings, them kids was getting whoopings because they don't listen.
Right.
And from everything I understand, even from the most like woke of millennial parents, right? It's like, well, when I whoop that child, or when I say whoop, and I mean, spanking, any level of spanking, I call it whooping. When I have spanked this, my kid, they know not to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's she's actually younger than me. She's 37. She has a 20-year-old. And she says she gave him spankings for like 2 years, between like 2 and 4. She says she spanked him almost every night because of the way he was behaving. Like, and she cried every night after she did it. But she was like, but he listens. She has 0 regrets. And I'm like, man, dude, is that what they need?
I think I was talking with Ashley like a few weeks ago, because Cameron, as sweet as he is, I've had to shift the way that I've been parenting him, which has been really trying for me, because what was working before is not working anymore. He's 7.
Yeah.
He's affected by personalities and environmental issues and school and all these things that we never really had to deal with before. And I was having a hard, like, even the teacher called me one day and said that like he had like a super heavy mental breakdown over a test. And I was like, oh, no. Like, and I realized what was happening was, one, I had to make sure that he wasn't developing an anxiety in regards to testing and schoolwork, because we're going to nip that shit in the bud right now.
Right.
Absolutely not. Cannot. I remember having to feel that pressure, and I was like, no. But also how other things affect his emotional regulation, because he is very emotional.
Yeah.
And so because I'm seeing that show up, it's showing up in school, it's now at home, I'm seeing more of the attitude, I have to now shift how I deal with him. And so once upon a time before, it was very gentle.
Yeah.
And now I find myself having to be a little bit more thug with Cam, because I'm like, all right, welcome to the world, bro. Like, nope. You're going to have to get it together. And I am such a supporter of crying. I'm such a supporter of like, however you feel is true and honest. But also I have to say to him now, and this is me, and I can't believe I'm saying these things. I'm like, are you the kid who's going to cry at everything in school? And I'm not trying to shame him.
Yeah.
Because I follow that up with saying, hey,
yeah,
I need you to take 3 deep breaths and ask yourself if you can regulate yourself back to not losing yourself so far into your emotions that you cry and you have lost it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that for you. I don't want you to go to school and have to be struggling with that. I want you to practice, right? Mm-hmm. You're allowed to be emotional. You're allowed to have things that affect you and upset you. Even when he's at home, and if he's getting an attitude with me, like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't like, I turned to him and I was like, I get it. You are allowed to feel like you don't want to do that thing. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to say, I don't like that thing, but you're still going to have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
Have to do
so
thing.
I have to get a little bit more tough with Cameron these days. And that's really hard for me, because he's always been so sweet and so cooperative and obedient. And like, he just goes with the flow, and like, there's no pushback. You look at Cameron and he's like, okay, got it.
That was Brooks.
Got it. I got it, But he's now 7. He's getting bigger. He's testing his limits, but he's also knowing the manipulation, right? Mm-hmm. With me, specifically because I am so true to honoring feelings. So when he goes to cry, I look at him and I'm like, ah. And he's like, he holds it. And I was like, let's talk about it. I'm like, I can't talk to you when you're crying through these tears. And I was like, I was like, I understand you feel the need to cry, but I need you to ask yourself right now if you need to cry to communicate what it is that you're saying to me.
See, I haven't said that as much as I'm always like, articulate what you're feeling. Like, tell me what you're feeling. The babies, they'll always say like, you're making me cry. Something is making them cry. So I do that with them a lot. With Brooks too, just not, he doesn't say it. He'll just start crying.
Right.
Or like really start panting. And I'm like, what are you feeling? Like,
right.
I need to understand what you're feeling.
Right.
And he don't always tell me, which is very frustrating. But yeah, definitely in the same boat, and trying to just get them to articulate, like, it's okay to cry, but help me understand what you're feeling.
Yes. And it's such a fine line to be, like, that's because I got that. Like, my mom used to beat us and then be like, don't cry. Don't cry. And I was like, well, you just whooped me. Like, of course I'm crying. I'm sad. I'm hurt. I'm ashamed. I'm like all these things, and it's this and I was a very emotional child, and I'm an emotional woman. I cry to this day, Jared and I get into a conversation. I'll be like, but you just not listening to me.
Yeah.
That's my husband. And I find myself having to listen to the same things to myself that I'm saying to my child. Same things that I have to say, Cameron, do you need to express yourself through tears right now? And then I have to ask myself, did you need to express yourself through tears when you were talking to Jared last night? It's deep. It's really deep. So that's why I try to be really mindful. Like, because that's why I say to him, I'm like, I understand you have big feelings inside. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, mommy has big feelings inside, right? But I'm like, you have to find the way to communicate your feelings. I was like, and I tell him too, I was like, when you're with your friends, they're not going to respond to you crying.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that right now. And I'm like, you don't want to be that kid that just goes into crying because you don't know how to communicate with your friends.
Yeah.
Kids don't know what to do with that. I'm your mom. I have patience for you. Other people in this world, they don't got it. I tell them right away.
That's that's an interesting point. And like for me, sort of a next step, right? Because you can cry and communicate, which I think as grown women, we probably do the way you were just describing with Jared. Like we cry and we're like, here's why I'm crying.
Yes.
Hopefully. Right.
Yes.
And then I think that there's the crying and saying nothing.
Right.
That for me, I'm like, I don't know what to do with you, child, because I don't know if you're crying because I didn't give you this thing, or if you're crying because you got in trouble or whatever the thing, like you regret your decisions.
Right.
Like, and so it's interesting, all of those stages of articulating to them, like in you is bringing about these big feelings.
Yes.
And then how do you express those big feelings?
Yes.
There are many ways, but like you're choosing to do it through tears.
Well, I think specifically when I see it with Cameron, and I know this to be true with me, like the component of ourselves that we forget is a huge contributing factor is our nervous system. And our nervous system, when it is shocked or compromised, spirals. This is fight or flight. This is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So when I see Cameron, or I get a call from the teacher that says Cameron had a breakdown during a math test today, but then the next day was breezing, I have to ask myself, what is it about him? Knowing that he's a highly emotionally charged child, what is it about him that would force him to spiral in that way over something that he does every day, math and learning and whatever? And I realize it is a lack of practice for him in emotional regulation for his nervous system.
Yeah. So
for me now, what I have to do with him is I have to get back, which I have admittedly so fallen off, in our meditations, in our deep breath work that happen outside of the crisis.
Tell me more, because I have a lot of thoughts about this.
So we used to go to sleep every night. We used to meditate. We used to do affirmations. We used to breathe. We used to be very every night. And then, you know, it was just him. Yeah. And then he got older and he started school and was like, okay, go to bed by yourself. But when we were putting him to sleep, we were doing that every night.
Yeah.
Now we have Kaya. So our sleep of how we get to go to sleep with Cameron is different. Now he wants to read books. He wants to be read to. You know, it's different. And that part, I think, is really important in seeing that that was a huge part of his foundation as a young child. But now that he's a kid in school with all these things, influences, I think it's important that I have to remember that that is a thing that I need for him to have as a tool, or at least try for him to have as a tool when I'm not there. Because getting a call from the teacher saying that he spiraled out because of a test is not really because of the test. It's because she asked me, she's like, did he get enough sleep last night? She said, did he have a good breath? Like, she asked me questions, which I really appreciated. And what I loved about the teacher that she said, was she was just like, hey, she's like, if the math homework is triggering this, you have my permission to not do this math homework. You have my permission as his teacher to work at the pace that she's like, this is not worth it at his mental health.
That's what's
and
up.
I was so grateful when she said that. I was like, thank you for saying this, because that's not often honored, especially in a public school system or like in any school system. They just, you know, are like, hey, this is what it is. Follow curriculum. Good luck. But I think that I need to bring back these tools for him to be able to have. So when I'm not there, I know, which is the job of any parent in the world, what do you have? What have I given you to be able to regulate yourself? And so I know that Cameron's kryptonite is his emotions.
Yeah.
He gets his feelings hurt very easily. He gets his feelings hurt easily with us, you know, and I'm mindful of that. But at the same time, I also need him to have the, I can do this. I can get through this moment, you know, because my mom and dad have empowered me to.
What was your nightly routine? How long did that last?
We were doing it probably till the pandemic, I'd probably say happened, because it was just so much focused time. We were doing it from small. There was this one app that I used to use called Simple Habit, and they had a loving kindness meditation for kids. And I would play that for him, and we would do that. We would do deep breathing. We would meditate in the mornings, and life. So we were doing that for I would do it with him when he was young. Like when he was a baby and I was putting him to sleep, I'd be doing deep breaths. I would pray and affirm over him when he was just a baby. So then when he was older and we were in bed, we could lay next to each other. Then we would do that. So I'd probably say 3-4 years, two to 3 years, if you call it starting at a year.
I don't remember what made me think of this recently. It was a combination of things. I was on a panel with this woman who's a breath worker, and there was something else. There was 2 things together that made me have this thought. I think there was a video, an Instagram video of this man and his son, and he was teaching his son how to meditate, I think from a young age. It was a little time lapse. And those 2 things together, I was like, man, if we want to teach kids to meditate, we have or do breath work, then they're only going to continue it if they see their parents, their family doing it, or if they do it together, but if they see that. And I want to have an experience where parents and kids can do breath work together so that it begins that habit and that teaching so that we can take that home and continue it.
Well, now I'm going to have a psychology moment.
Yes, have it.
As I'm realizing, back to this thing about what our children need is really what we need. What is it that you recognize that you need that actually could benefit your children?
Jesus. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Because it's the truth. It's for example, it's I know for me, emotional regulation, something I need. So I need to practice that for myself.
Yeah.
That's actually something that my child needs. So maybe the disconnection with you being these babies don't listen comes from something that you're not seeing or they're not seeing you do for yourself for you to be able to apply that to your children.
Now, I don't know if I can be as specific or the parallel of them not listening. But I mean, when you first asked the question for me, I know I need to meditate. I know all 39 years of me just needs to begin. And so I know that. I mean, it's even with the idea of this breath work with, parent-child situation. I know that I need a practice, however short or long, that just takes me out of whatever is getting to be too much, for sure. It has been for a while. It was walking. I was doing 10,000 steps a day after, part of the pandemic. And then once I started editing again, I'm just sitting down, reading, writing, whatever. And so I'm trying to get back to at least walking. For me, that's meditation. Me walking.
Yeah.
But I know that I need to practice something every single day.
Because I'm just thinking about even the boys, they're to quote you, it's they don't listen, right? There's something in there that is again, it's this disconnect of I'm just doing what I want to do. I'm tuned out of what I'm being told to do. But there's got to be some sort of connection to, I don't know if it's breath work. I don't know if it's a practice. For me with my son, I know with Cameron has short-term focus, right? Unless it's something he likes doing. If it gets too hard, he's checked out.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me where I know for him, practice of anything is going to build that muscle for him. So it's all right, you don't want to do this? You got to hit 50 jump shots right now. You're missing them all? Hit 50 and then you can come inside. And it's not about being a good basketball player. It's the focus to keep doing it until you get it done.
Yeah.
To push yourself even when it's hard. And so that's a practice then too, where it's okay, well, you got to sit down and do this math homework.
Yeah.
10 minutes. That's what you got. Right. So maybe it's something to start to look at the kids' habits and be what is the thing that can connect to get them to have the focus of listen? Because sometimes starting the day, again, using meditation as an example, some people start their day with meditation or exercise because it regulates their emotional system, their nervous system from the morning of and sets them up for success for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something that's maybe pay attention to a day where they're really cooperative. Where they are listening and be what happened today? What did I do differently? What did they do differently? What did they expose? Because also I too know with Cameron, if he gets too much screen time, focus is out the door.
Yeah.
So I have to regulate screen time. I'm like, oh no, you can't watch TV during the week at all.
I
Like,
think another thing that they need is more structure and routine. They have it in theory, right? Like with school and like everything that happens after school. But the mornings in particular, we need more structure.
That's big.
They need more structure. I know
That's
what I'm
big.
doing. They just in my face while I'm
but
doing
see, I think that that's already an identifying point right there.
Yeah.
Like if you can recognize that there's a lack of structure for two children who are having a hard time obeying or listening and cooperating, structure subconsciously allows them to be like, there is an order of which things get done.
it. Yeah.
There is a schedule in which things get done. And we follow this schedule because we're told to. So it's still a practice in obeying a certain set of rules.
Yeah.
It's a practice in obeying, this is what's been set out for me.
Mhm.
So maybe that can apply to help them listen
Yeah.
more.
You remember the we shared it in our group chat. The it's like a piece of paper with like a sticky thing and it has all the lists
Yep.
of like brush your teeth,
Yep.
put on your underwear.
Yep.
We totally need that.
Yes.
We totally like I think about it once a week.
Yeah. I mean,
Stop shaking your
shit,
head.
I still
Crystal.
need that. I still need that. My ADD mind will be like,
Yeah.
start making the bed, leave the bed unmade to go brush my teeth to then so it really, we need these tools as much as children
Yeah.
need these tools. We also too need these tools sometimes. And then managing these kids, the sooner we can get them to help us help ourselves so that they can manage themselves
Yeah.
is, again, example this morning. Cameron, he knows he's got to brush his teeth every single morning.
Girl.
Every single morning. He ate his breakfast, got dressed, came outside, put on his shoes. His dad was like, did you brush your teeth? And he was like, oh. Meanwhile, he's about to be late
Yeah.
for school now if he goes back and turns.
Totally.
I said, no, you don't get to brush your teeth. Go. And he says, I'll brush my teeth tomorrow. I said, that's all right. But if your crush at school says your breath stink, that's on you. And that's what I told him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't get to brush your teeth
No,
now.
for sure.
And I was like, cavities, out the door. Go. You're going to, at some point, recognize that this is a responsibility you need to take for yourself. You don't have time to brush your teeth. Go. This is not, I'm not doing you a favor. Now, you don't get to brush your teeth. Go. So, again, 7 years old, still needs, he's been doing this for 3 years. You know you brush your teeth in the morning and at night, bro. Why did you not brush your teeth this morning? Because you just didn't feel like it? All right. Hit it. Whew. It's rough out here in these streets.
It is. It really
But I think to the
is.
point of what we come back to from the beginning is that parenting evolves every kid, every stage, and it's constant. It's constant evolution. It's just like whatever worked last year might not work this year. And so we have to also too, as the adults and as just human beings, keep evolving.
Yeah.
So that we have more tools and more grounding to be able to take on these kids. Because, child, when I say this topic of gentle parenting, be out here and I'm like, these kids are not gentle. Okay, these kids are thugs.
Yeah,
so I gotta be a little thuggish with. I gotta be a little thuggish, ruggish bone.
Is for gentle kids.
Yes, for
I
gentle
got
kids.
gangsters.
I got gangsters. Okay, Kaya, I see you,
my
girl,
God.
coming up in the world.
Lord.
But it's true, and I just think that that's what we're talking about here. Is that we gotta evolve. We gotta try all the things,
All of that.
all of it. It's constant. Good luck though. Call my mom. She's
I
here.
will.
She's
I will.
here.
I'll start
She's here for
sending
your
videos.
assistance.
Is she here? Wait, no, she's not here.
She can be here though. I'll call her.
Yes.